Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask the Doc. My name is Dr. Christian Salazar, and I am an epidemiologist here at UCI Mind. We are one of 37 congressionally mandated Alzheimer's disease research centers that is doing work in Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. And we are a podcast that offers you, the viewers, an opportunity to ask questions and to meet the experts who are doing this kind of work. Which is why I am very excited and very honored today to be speaking with Dr. Crystal Glover. Dr. Glover is an applied social psychologist, a mixed methodologist, and an associate professor with tenure in the Department of Neurology at the UCI School of Medicine. And she leads our outreach, recruitment, and engagement core here at the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center at UCI Mind. Dr. Glover, thank you for joining us.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Salazar. How are you?
Very good, very good. And welcome to our viewers. If you are attending live on Facebook or on YouTube, you can participate in the Q&A by typing in your questions here at the comment box, and I will try to do my best to get to your question. I may not get to all, but I will do my best to get to as many as I can. Welcome again, Dr. Glover, and thank you for joining us here at Ask the Doc.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here with you and everyone out there, maybe listening now or later. So thank you.
Great. Now, I'd like to start, Dr. Glover, by asking you about your training. So you've trained as a social psychologist and as a mixed methodologist before actually focusing on dementia. What personal or professional inflection points steered you towards Alzheimer's research and community engagement?
That's a great question, Chris. So when I originally decided to major in social psychology back in graduate school, I was a dual minor in neuropsychology and biostat. And I was really interested in how people make decisions and how they see the world and themselves in it. So how do they make sense of themselves in the world and then make decisions? And I was doing that largely through biostat, quantitative measures, and thinking those things through in a very logistical survey way. But then I decided I wanted to hear even more about lived experiences, but have it standardized, have it high fidelity, have it in a way that is rigorous in terms of science. So I went on to couple that biostat background with qualitative methodologies, being a mixed methodologist, so I could see the full person. And that's what led me originally to community-based research, outreach, recruitment, engagement, is how do people actually live? What are their lived experiences? What are their perceptions? And then how does that shape their interactions with their doctors, their interactions with their families, anyone else, but then ultimately shaping their health? So I was in psychiatry, focused on mental health at the beginning of my career. But then personally, my father was getting older. Of course, we all are. If we're still here, we're getting older, but was running into some challenges, not cognitive, but in other ways. And it really opened my eyes to the structural, social, and also the individual challenges, determinants that really shape a person's aging trajectories, not just dementia, but aging overall. Being able to have particular resources, a long-term or long-time caregiving, all of those things shaped how my father ultimately aged. So that really made me think, how can I apply the skills that I have, also in community-based research and outreach, to bring it into aging and dementia, and thinking about the brain as the hub of everything that we do. So in 2016, I pivoted. I went from psychiatry to the field of neurology, more specifically, so focused on neuroscience, and I committed my life to understanding aging trajectories. So in my mind, that's pretty much the whole thing, but That's how I became interested in older adults.
And it's a good thing that you did, because with this experience, with this vast experience that you have now, and your training and your background, you now lead the outreach, recruitment, and engagement ORE core here at UCI Mind. What can you tell me is in the small amount of time that you've been here, what is the toughest misconception that you've encountered so far when inviting people, say, to an aging study, especially those from historically excluded groups?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. So, in my full expanse of doing this work, so over a decade in terms of community based research and outreach specifically, is two things. Is one, getting our recognition out there. So, who we are, what we do, so that we are around an Alzheimer's Disease Research Center, that we have resources, we have research, and we're ultimately aiming to have optimal health for everyone. So that's the first thing, is getting the message out. Then after that is making sure that people understand what we do as researchers and what we're aiming to do with, say, healthcare providers, policymakers, community leaders, and just the average person. And that is, as I said a moment ago, to have optimal or best health for everyone. So we're using research, we're using outreach to raise awareness as well as build solutions for this healthy aging that we speak about. So, one, who we are, and then making sure they know what we do. So, we're not aiming to hurt anyone, treat anyone like a guinea pig, or any of those other misconceptions, but simply to have the best aging for all of us going forward.
That's great to have, this vision for improving the health and brain health of underrepresented individuals in research. Now, we know that some centers, some ADRCs, Alzheimer's disease research centers, are testing novel engagement models. For example, peer navigators, community scientists, and so on. What strategy are you most excited about piloting here at UCI? And what does success look like when you're in?
I would say it's three things. So the first would be to get out there and see everyone. I see this as a tool of introducing myself to Southern California, Orange County in specific, and UCI Mind, all the people that engage with us, but then raising that awareness. So that's the first piece. The other thing I'm looking to bring is even more community-based voices. So the lived experiences, how do individuals view research? How can we partner to optimize research? And then how can they select the best research study for them? Whether it is a focus group, whether it is a clinical trial, whether it's being a part of the community advisory board that you lead, Chris, all of those things are ways that they can partner with us. And I would love to partner with them. So what I'm saying is there's a whole host of strategies that I'm looking forward to. So getting out there, letting people know me, raising the profile of our center and what we do, and partnering with individuals on any kind of research touch, science-based touch that they're interested in, I'm looking to do. So that could be through peers, community leaders, events like this, in person, you name it, I'm looking to bring it here.
That's great. And we're honored to have you here, because we want to expand this outreach to communities, all communities, equally. Now, we have a viewer question. This is coming from Don Camper. Don says, my mom was diagnosed with age-related Alzheimer's disease at the age of 87. What are the chances that I could develop the disease, and what could I do to avoid developing the disease?
So I would say, Dawn, thank you for engaging with us during this time, and thank you for sharing with us. To answer your first question, I'm taking a look at that. I would say it's time to begin engaging with your primary care physician provider, as well as possibly a neurologist, to think through what are the what is your genetic profile? What are your own individual factors that you may want to discuss? And also having a cognitive assessment in terms of taking those steps to see what are the chances for yourself. And that's very, very important as we think about our own trajectories of aging. So the first step I would do is to direct you to your primary care provider and seek cognitive testing if you would be interested in that. Uh, I would say there are no ways, evidence wise, empirically based, to fully avoid or prevent Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. But there are very few three ways that I think about in particular to help reduce our risk or at least decrease the chances there. And it's something I focus on a lot in my research. I call it the three acts. It sounds very simple, but it's physical, social, and cognitive activity. This is key even as we age. So if you're thinking about physical activity, it doesn't have to be, say, weightlifting or power walking. It could be an extra lap around the grocery store, your neighborhood, but getting steps in and having that movement as often as you can. Also, the social activity, people that you respect, people that you have fun with, something you're not paid for, getting out there regularly to take part in an activity. My research has shown that taking part in volunteer activities that benefit a community that you're looking to serve or that you belong to is a high mark there, especially in brain health and keeping it as healthy as possible. And then lastly, that mentally stimulating activity. Attending events like this, reading, libraries, museums, you name it, any way to help stimulate your brain and get you thinking is important. But then something that I think is very, very important is the heart to head highway. So just think about this. Anything that you do for your heart is good for your head. So whether it's if you have hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, any other issues, be sure to get those under control, work with your provider in order to do so, and keeping your heart healthy keeps your brain healthy.
Excellent advice, Dr. Glover. And thank you, Dawn, for that wonderful question.
Yes.
And I want to remind the viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to put it here on the comment box, and I'll do my best to get to your question. Now, Dr. Glover, you recently represented your new Alzheimer's and Dementia Journal at AIC Neuroscience Next in Cameroon, which is probably pretty exciting. And what did this trip teach you about dementia research capacity and or community priorities outside of the U.S.?
That's a great question, Chris. So, to our viewers here, I am also the editor in chief of an Alzheimer's Association scientific journal called Alzheimer's and Dementia Behavior and Socioeconomics of Aging. With that, I get to travel across the globe to raise awareness about not only the journal, but research, aging, Alzheimer's disease, and other neurocognitive issues, particularly related to aging. And when I was there, three things stood out. One, the commitment to understanding aging and healthy aging in particular. I wasn't expecting a lot of neuropsychologists, neuroscientists, neurologists, social workers, nurses, you name it, to be there. But there were over 500 individuals, professionals, researchers looking to understand about aging and dementia. So the excitement there, the passion, as well as the expertise. That's one thing that pleasantly surprised me was the amount. But something else that brought my attention was in thinking about stigma and stress. So many individuals, whether it's in Cameroon, Chicago, or here in Southern California, may not want to talk about Alzheimer's disease. They may not want to face the fact that maybe their loved one has cognitive impairment, that they may be experiencing it, or that this is something that may happen to them as they age. And I think the stigma is a huge issue because it prevents individuals from seeking knowledge, so gaining that awareness, engaging with the healthcare system, their providers, and then also seeing about how research may be a strategy, a solution for them as well. So the stigma kind of stops the whole healthy aging or piece that people can really understand. All right, what is going on with me or possibly or with others in my community, and then seeing about ways that I can learn more, possibly reduce my risk, and then engage with my family. So these things are universal. Of course, cultural groups, global groups, they differ. We have different cultural practices. We may eat different things. We may practice different religions. But the fact is, we are all concerned about healthy aging. We all want to age in the best way that we can. So I saw those things prominent in Cameroon, the stigma and stress, but also the purpose to try to age as best as they can.
Great. Well, I imagine that the system there in Cameroon is different, and there's a lot that needs to a lot of gaps that need to be bridged in these countries. I wanted to pivot now to a viewer question. This is coming from Deb Davis. Now she says that my 46-year-old son was born with mosaic Down syndrome, and a year ago he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Now I've been told that this is different from regular early onset Alzheimer's. Can you comment a little bit about the difference, and also how to best seek care for the loved one?
Yes. Thank you, Deb. I see your question and I'm aiming to read it and break it down. We have an expert here in Down syndromes in aging at UCI Mind, and her name is Dr. Elizabeth Head. I do encourage you to look her up, be able to engage with her work, and there's plenty of resources on a website if you were to Google her name. The second piece is the Alzheimer's Association. They have many resources in talking about the different types of dementia, the different groups that may experience dementia, and the resources that may relate to that. So we have a local chapter here in Orange County, Alzheimer's Association Orange County chapter, and then the global brand, Alzheimer's Association. Don't be scared that it says Alzheimer's Association is focused on all types of dementia. So please, thank you there. Thank you for putting that website up, Deb. That's where you can engage with Dr. Head's work. And then with the Alzheimer's Association, that's a quick Google that you can have resources that may be specific to your son and EOD.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glover, and thank you, Deb, for that wonderful question. This next question is coming from Ubiquitous Public Health, and it reads, Dr. Glover, in your experience, how can researchers work to improve accurate and inclusive data collection with patients with cognitive impairments who may use proxies to participate in research?
That is a very rich question, Ubiquitous. And so that is cool that it's coming from you. So I will step back beyond research. Something that I was mentioning before, the stigma, the stress, and the awareness. I think the more we speak about what we would like to see in aging for ourselves, with our loved ones, or whoever's in our lives, the easier or smoother that transition may be. So that's the first step. That is outside of research, regardless of that. So taking it a step further. But if we do not see that, but hopefully we do, but if we do not, to have that accurate and inclusive data, the way I've treated it is if we can have, as proxies, at least two. I'm all about triangulation, meaning as a methodologist, I'm thinking about how I think valid a report is on an individual, the behavior, thinking, their wishes, those sorts of things, especially in terms of care. So a plan of treatment is important. So having at least two individuals there as proxies, or at least be able to corroborate that information, I think is important. So with my own research, I always use a team in order to say, are we hearing the same thing? Are we reaching the same conclusion? And are we interpreting it in the correct way, or at least in a highly accurate and appropriate way? So I would apply that in anything that I would give a suggestion to in terms of proxy work, especially people experiencing impairment. How can we have more than one reporter there to speak about the individual, their wishes, their behaviors, etc.?
Thank you, Dr. Glover. And thank you, Ubiquitous, for the wonderful question. Now, wanted to ask you, and just to follow up with your journal. So you're the inaugural executive editor for
Mhm.
the journal. This
Mhm.
journal, Alzheimer's and Dementia: Behavior and Socioeconomics of Aging. So
Mhm.
you're curating work at the intersection of science and society. What kinds of manuscripts come across your desk that make you say, we have to publish this?
So when I was approached to think about being editor in chief, especially the inaugural editor in chief of this journal, uh, the one thing I considered, of course, with everything else, but is the state of the science. And something that excited me was being able to shape what goes into the scientific register. That's what I call every journal, every presentation, every podcast or piece like this. We are entering our expertise into the scientific realm, the scientific register. How can I be a part of shaping this? Of course, as a researcher, that's important. As an author, that's important. But I was thinking more globally, just bigger. How can we do this in a group of us? Of course, an editorial board, be able to do that. So everything that I do in terms of my career, especially being an applied social psychologist, I'm thinking about how it may be develop educational materials, engagement strategies, methodologies, treatments, etc. It has to be able to be applied. And something I was looking to have a foray into with a high impact is policy, these structural issues that we speak about, having equitable aging. So that means healthy aging for everyone. Equitable aging is healthy aging. So how can we have that? And I thought, well, the pieces that I'm most excited about are those that speak about translation. How can the work that we do, all of us across the globe as researchers, scientists, be translated or applied, whether it's for a person, so at the individual level, communities, so something that may be in our neighborhood or in our town, in institutions, say, how can this be used in a local hospital, a community based clinic? But then, even more broadly, structurally, how can this work, this empirical base, this evidence base, help assist or help policymakers be able to say, aging is something we need to focus on. Healthy aging is where we should be. And how can we have this for everyone? How can we meet each community where they are to benefit them with the resources that they need long term and consistently to have this healthy aging that we speak about? So, meeting people where they are. So, that means understanding the evidence base and then where we want to go with it for policy, care, and other individual solutions that we may use at home.
Thank you. That's well said. You mentioned
Deb,
equity.
oh, I was just seeing Deb there, and she found it. Great. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Deb. You mentioned equity
Yes.
before, and just want to dig a little deeper into this because this term equity, for the minds of many folks, it often stops at diverse recruitment.
Yeah.
And yet you argue that it must permeate the study design, the analysis, and the dissemination of the work. So, what would a truly equity centered Alzheimer's research study or trial look like from start to finish?
Thank you, Chris. I will say that equitable research is ethical research, and equitable research is rigorous work. So, what that means is if we're thinking about people at risk of Alzheimer's disease, that means we have to have them in our studies. That goes all the way back to the start. What's the precipice? What's the key piece of any research endeavor? That's the question. What are we looking to answer? What is the purpose? Why are we here? So, with that, everything else hangs. If I'm thinking about, say, with Deb's question, understanding early onset dementia, particularly in individuals with Down syndrome, people at high risk, then I must have them in my study. That is a question. But then I have to be able to develop what are materials that would be most fitting to assess this issue? What is a way that they can relate to these questions and appropriately address the different variables that we're thinking about? And how can we engage with these individuals to say, we have a study. This is what we're looking to do. And please think about coming to join us. Offer, invite them to join us. But then also, when we have our statistical analyses, how are we interpreting these data? Is it specific to say with Deb's son, people living with Down syndrome? We can't use the parameters per se for another group that may be applicable to a group that's so unique. So we have to think about those things from beginning to end. Who are the individuals that we're asking questions about? Why? Making sure that we're looking to answer a question that can benefit them or at least expand our understanding of their aging trajectories, and then be able to work with providers, policy analysts, and other community-based folks in terms of applying what we're finding.
Thank you. And let's dig a little deeper into how you go about collecting this data, this information. Now, you're a mixed methodologist, and mixed methods research often asks participants to be both numbers and narrators of their own stories. How do you balance qualitative depth with quantitative rigor when sometimes funding agencies still privilege large data sets?
Mhm. That is a very relevant question. So thank you for that, Chris. When I was embarking on my work, building my area of expertise, my areas of expertise to be specific, I was thinking of quantitative work, that biostat. I was thinking of everything in total, aging, life in general, what we're aiming to understand and research as a person, of course. So the biostat, the quantitative piece, I saw as the bone, that the skeleton of the individual. But qualitative, that in-depth, I saw as the muscle and the fat. So getting in deeply into who a person is. So I think both are needed. It's like a marriage where you have, of course, the skeleton, but you have the other parts of the individual. So to me, qualitative work should be rigorous. It should have that standardization. So I don't see it any different than quantitative, but I see it as broadly, we can get to a larger sample, more people with our quantitative work surveys, other measures, questions, you name it, those sorts of assessments. But then I do enjoy taking pockets of individuals, smaller groups, and drilling down into what are key issues that we don't know much about, especially among a particular group of people, especially around something that could be high profile, highly relevant of individuals as they age. And then I drill down into thinking, what are their lived experiences? What are their thought processes? And how they may make decisions. And I marry those data for the full narration of an individual, a group, as a society. So that's how I'm thinking about it. I try to paint that picture to NIH, and I try to paint that to other funders and others more broadly. And I'm very excited to have joined UCI Mind because I believe everyone here is joining me in that mission and joining me in having that support to be able, regardless of funding and other things. Of course, this is important, but being able to be surrounded by supportive as well as other experts, colleagues is great. So that's how I look to engage with my work and bring it here.
We're in this together,
Yes,
Crystal.
we
So
are.
great.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I want you to, for a moment, imagine that it's 2035, the year 2035, and participation barriers have shrunk. What three changes would you say? It's policy, technology, or cultural changes got us there?
That's a great question. The first thing would be, if it's 2035, is that more individuals are aware of not just Alzheimer's disease, not just dementia, but aging. Because if we're here, we're all aging. So, what does that process look like for individuals across the globe, across the United States, across California? What does it look like? I think it would be important to say everything from kindergarten all the way up, that they can understand that they're aging, their brains are aging, but they're also flourishing and it's ever growing. So that's one thing, is having that awareness. The other part in 2035 will be less people are embarrassed to talk about the things that we experience while we're aging, especially in relation to brain health. Sometimes anything that happens with the brain is taboo, whether it's because of cultural reasons, societal pressure, religion, you name it. But erasing those things. And I think the last part is on the policy piece. However, we can get there is two things: how individuals everywhere can have more green, safe space, but then also how people can get good sleep, restorative sleep, so that each day they can be able to tackle the many things that they need to do. Because sleep is so important to our heart and to our head. So, how can we increase sleep as well as the green space? I think structurally for everyone, the better off we'll be as a human race.
Thank you for that, Dr. Glover. And many early career scientists are working on brain health equity, and sometimes they may feel siloed in their work. What concrete advice would you give, or caution would you give to doctoral students who are working in this area today?
I think it's important to have a purpose. So, what exactly is your career purpose? So, for me, it is thinking about how individuals can make the best decisions for themselves to age as best as they can. That's just a guiding premise of my work. It's not a research question per se, but is a guiding mantra, the central premise of my work. Optimal aging for everyone and reducing challenges that may face any group of individuals. So that's the first thing, is to get firm on why are you doing this and who are you doing it for. Okay. I do find it very true that this time that individuals focused on any community that may be, say, underrepresented, whether it be immigrants, whether it be a certain religious group, racial, ethnic, you name it, can be siloed into what we may call a DEI or that piece. But making sure that everyone knows that as long as all of these individuals are alive, these individuals are aging, that means they may be at risk for developing dementia or other neurocognitive disorders. That means they are relevant to our research, to our strategies, and to our care. And they belong to everyone here in the world. So I would say get firm on what is your purpose, and then what is the strategy, meaning how do you want to go about it? And then lastly, take control of your own narrative. Do not let someone else tell you what you are looking at. Be able to tell them what you are looking at and what you are focused on. But that can only happen if you're clear on your purpose and how you want to do it. And for me, what worked, I faced maybe being kind of pushed into one area at one point or painted as a particular type of scientist. But I found through community and sharing my vision, sharing my purpose, that other people are excited to join you and they want to help. And as many people as you think maybe working against you or structural issues working there are as many people hoping to help you succeed and to enhance your vision because they may have the same vision. So just being able to know what you want, your purpose, and how you want to do it, or at least a general idea, and let others know and reach out to expand that. You can reach out to me too.
Wonderful advice, Dr. Glover. In closing, I just wanted to ask, what comes next for you, Dr. Glover? What do you look forward to in the next academic year?
I look forward to a lot. I look forward to getting even more acclimated in my new home, UCI Mind, my new home, Southern California, and also getting to meet more people from different groups in this area. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone who is aging because they inspire me. I get inspired to have more research questions, different ways of seeing the world, seeing it aging. And so I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about engaging with students, so trainees, young scientists, to start hearing what they're thinking about that last question that you raised about being siloed, how they make decisions about their own careers. I would love to be a part of their trajectories. So, in the next year or so, is fully getting acclimated, getting immersed, and letting people know who I am.
And with that, Dr. Glover, thank you so much for for all your advice, for meeting with me today, and for joining us in Ask the Doc. And thank you to all of you who attended the live today. This was a fantastic attendance. You can access this and past Ask the Doc episodes, podcasts, and more at our website here at mind.uci.edu/mindcast. And I just want to remind everyone that later this month we'll be chatting with Dr. Jerry Liu, who will take us under the microscope for a look at non-Alzheimer's dementias. In the meantime, to learn more about research here at UCI Mind, you can visit our website here or contact us at UCI Consent to Contact C2C Registry, which is here, UCI C2C Registry, c2c.uci.edu. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next month for Ask the Doc on UCI Mindcast.